Good morning, children. Hoping you all are keeping safe and healthy. Today I am going to begin with your half-yearly syllabus. Chapter 3, Ruling the Countryside in your history. Okay, so in the previous chapter we have studied how East India Company had acquired the Diwani right from the Mughal emperor. So it was on 12th August 1765 that the Mughal emperor appointed East India Company as the Diwan of Bengal. Now, being the Diwan, the company became the chief financial administrator of the territory. Now, the company initially we have studied that before 1865, the company had purchased the goods in India by importing gold and silver from Britain. But that was not the case now. Now the revenue collected in Bengal could finance the purchase for export. By doing this, Bengal had moved into a deep crisis, financial crisis, because many people, farmers and artisans have lost their job. The Bengal economy was facing deep crisis. Artisans were deserting villages. Deserting villages means they were leaving villages and moving out in search of new job. Peasants were unable to pay the revenue which was demanded by the Britishers, and agriculture cultivation was completely collapsed. Above all, in 1770 there was a famine that broke out, and it wiped out nearly 1/3 population of Bengal. So now the Britishers have to pay more attention to improve the agriculture. For this, they have introduced a policy called permanent settlement in 1793. By the term of the settlement, the Rajas and Tughlaqdars were recognized as Jamindars. They have given them the title. Rajas and Tughlaqdars were given Talukdars were given the title of Jamindars. They were asked to collect the rent from the peasants and pay revenue to the company. The amount to be paid was fixed by the company. It was permanently fixed by the company. That is, that was not to be increased ever in the future. The Britishers have fixed a certain amount which these Rajas and the Talukdars were responsible to collect and deposit to the Britishers as revenue, and it was fixed. They were not going to increase it or decrease it in the coming year. It was felt that this would ensure a regular flow of revenue into the company's pocket, and it would encourage the Jamindars to invest more money in the land so that the revenue and the production and the yield will increase. But this was not the case. The Jamindars were not very keen to invest money in the land because the revenue fixed by the Britishers was huge amount. Now what were the problems? The permanent settlement, however, created problems. The company officials soon discovered that the Jamindars were in fact not investing any money for the improvement of land. The revenue had been fixed was so high that the Jamindars found it difficult to pay. Anyone who failed to pay the revenue lost their Jamindari, right to Jamindari. Hence, the Jamindars could not give out the land to tenants and get rent. They were not interested in improving the land at all. At the same time, the villages, the cultivators found the system extremely oppressive. The rent he paid to the Jamindar was high, and his right on the land was insecure. To pay the rent, he had to often take loan from the moneylender, and the moneylender also used to lend the money at huge interest. Hence, the permanent settlement was completely a failure. Now, the new system was devised. which was known as Mahalwari system, and it was introduced in the northwestern provinces of Bengal. Okay, most of the areas are now at present in Uttar Pradesh, where the Mahalwari system was introduced. It is at present it is in Uttar Pradesh. This system came into effect in 1822. Now, an Englishman called Holt, he felt that the village was an important social institution in North Indian society and needed to be preserved. Under his direction, the collectors went from village to village, inspecting the land, measuring the field, and recording the customs and rights of different groups. The estimated revenue of each plot within the village was added up to calculate the revenue that each village was also known as Mahal, and that is how this system, new system was named as Mahalwari system. Okay. This demand was to revise periodically. Now, the Mahalwari system, the revenue was not fixed permanently like the permanent settlement. It was to be revised periodically according to the yield, according to the cultivation of that particular season. The charge of the collecting the revenue and paying it to the company was given to the village headmen. Headmen आप सरपंच को भी बोल सकते हो, rather than the jamindars. This system came to be known as Mahalwari system. Okay, in Mahalwari system was introduced in the northwestern province of the Bengal, which is at present known as UP, Uttar Pradesh, and in this the land was assessed before the revenue was fixed, and the revenue was revised periodically. And who was responsible to collect it? It was not jamindars like in permanent settlement. It was the headman of the village who was responsible to collect the revenue. Now moving forward to the Munro system. The British territories in the south, there was a similar move away from the idea of the permanent settlement. Okay, so in the southern part of India, this Munro system was introduced. The new system that was devised came to be known as the Roytwari system. It was tried on a small scale by Captain Alexander Red. So he was the one who introduced this system. Munro system and Roytwari system both are same. It was tried on a small scale by Captain Alexander Red. In some of the areas that were taken over by the company after the war of the Tipu Sultan. So it was, as already mentioned before, it was introduced in the southern part. It was introduced in the areas or the territories which were conquered after the defeat of Tipu Sultan. Red and Munro was the Thomas Munro. His full name is Thomas Munro. This system was gradually extended all over South India. Red and Thomas Munro felt that in the south there were no traditional jamindars. The settlement, they argued, had to be made directly with the cultivators or the roids. Roids are the people who cultivate on the land. In the southern part of the India, there was no jamindari system, so they have to do whatever settlement they have to do direct with the cultivators or the roids, who had tilled the land for generations. Their field had to be carefully and separately surveyed before the revenue assessment was made. The Munro thought that the British should act as a paternal father. Okay, so in the South India, the revenue was collected direct by the cultivators, and as in the Mahalwari system, it was periodically and carefully assessed, and the revenue was revised. Okay. Now, within few years after the new system was imposed, it was clear that all was not well with them. Driven by the desire to increase the income from the land, the revenue officials fixed was very high. The peasants were unable to pay the revenue demanded by the Britishers, and hence they found that instead of cultivating, it is better to move out of the village and search a new job. Clear? Now, this was also the period when there was a huge demand of indigo, which was cultivated in India. The indigo plant grows primarily in the tropics. By the 13th century, the Indian indigo had been used by cloth manufacturers in Italy, France and Britain to dye the cloth. The European market and its price was very high. The demand was very high of Indian indigo. The European cloth manufacturers therefore had to depend on other plant called wood to make a violet and blue dye. Being a plant of the temperate zone, wood was more easily available in Europe. It was grown in northern Italy, southern France, and in the parts of Germany and Britain. Worried by the competition of indigo, wood producers in Europe pressurized the government to ban the import of Indian indigo. Okay. Now, the cloth dyers, however, preferred the Indian indigo because of the color, rich blue color, whereas the dye from the wood was pale and dull. By the 17th century, the European cloth producers persuaded their government to relax the ban on the indigo import. Hence, the French began cultivating indigo in Saint Domingo in the Caribbean island, the Portuguese in Brazil, the English in Jamaica, and the Spanish in Venezuela. Indigo plantation also came up in many parts of North America. They started becoming self-independent, so they started cultivating their own. By the end of the 18th century, the demand for Indian indigo grew further. Britain began to industrialize and its cotton production expanded dramatically. While the demand for indigo increased, its existing supplies from West Indies and America collapsed for a variety of reasons. Between 1783 and 1789, the production of the indigo in the world fell by half. The cloth dyers in Britain now desperately looked for new sources of indigo supply. So now the Britain had to turn towards India for the import of indigo. Children, I have taught you till page number 31. I am going to upload few questions related to the topic which we have covered today. I have given a very small assignment which you will be doing. Clear? In your copy, you will be finding out the answers and you will be doing it along with the question answers which ma'am has given you. So stay healthy and fit till the next class we meet. Thank you.